Love, your head is down, your eyes are on the floor. No matter what we give, it leaves us wanting more. You know which way to go. For all the empty hours and restless afternoons, for all the faded flowers of dreams we spoke too soon. You know which way to go. But there's no harbor here, there's only danger near. The cliffs above and rocks below. And though I want you close, this light can only glow to warn you far away from shore, saying I love you. Now go. Sound in the foghorn lonely echoes across the bay, and the beacon of the tower lights the way. So you know which way to go. Well, I won't have another wreck upon my watch, but I can't tell you what to do, I know this much. And you know which way to go. But there's no harbor here, there's only danger near. Cliffs above and rocks below. I don't want to waste your time, but this light can only shine to warn you far away from shore, saying I love you. Now go. I love you. Now go. Go. I'm still dreaming of your eyes, your mouth, your touch. But I won't have another wreck upon my watch. And you know which way to go. Oh, that's a happy one. So Go was written... was written with a guy named Chris Olorski from up in Seattle, and a friend set us up to write a song together, and he came in and he just had this basic, he had that da 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 da, and just the line, you know which way to go. And I had just been listening to a podcast, because that's pretty much all I ever do is listen to podcasts and try to sleep. There was this podcast that was talking about lighthouses, and how lighthouses are this particular object in that they express, this concern, this love, they're protective, they are loving, and their general message is go away. Everything else that loves you is like, come here, let me hug you, let me hold you, and the lighthouse is just staying. I care so much about you that you need to be way over there somewhere else. And I was in breakup mode, having just, at the end of a 25-year relationship. And then the next relationship I got into soon after, I realized I wasn't capable of being there for somebody else. And it actually gave me a lot of compassion and understanding for my ex and how much love it took for her to bring the relationship to the end. And it's easy to take the pain of the ending of a relationship and think it's all injury. And there's a lot of encouragement to cast blame. And, I found myself avoiding divorced men like the plague during the process of my divorce because they didn't offer a whole lot of advice I wanted. And so just that idea of, and having been on both sides of the scenario. So it's just that lighthouse point of view. I love you, go. This song's called Grief and Praise. Came out of a Martin Prechtel talk. He's a Mayan shaman, wrote a book called The Smell of Rain on Dust that's all about grieving. And he has, there's this concept he puts out in the Mayan language. Apparently grief and praise are the same word, and they're both the outward shared expression of love in the face of inevitable loss. And so that he describes grief as praising the things you love and have lost, and praise as grieving the things you love and will lose. And that concept stuck with me. I just had a year where there were, a couple of years where there were so many changes. And when we're resistant to change, it always seems to come back to how we relate to death. I did a lot of listening to a guy named Stephen Jenkinson, who's a palliative care specialist up from Ottawa. And the wisdom that I found that helped me get through the process of divorce, definition of, a father at home, definition of a husband, all these things that I had thought were foundational. And when the foundations get moved around, you have to reassess, who you are, what actually works. And the best wisdom I found in that ended up not being in the divorce and relationship literature, but more in the death literature. And more wisdom from friends who'd been through cancer, and got out the back end of it and was noting the gratitude they had for every day they were breathing, the relationship they had with their life, the relationship, the passion that they brought to their gratitude. Those were the lessons that really kept coming back to me about what I needed to learn in this process. So, and this was recorded actually, I knew that this album had to work as a piece, as a collection of material, and that it kind of, the joke I've been making recently is it went from break up to wake up. The first songs I wrote were all very relational, more like go, more about that splitting and the romantic side. And at the end of it, it got much more philosophical and much more about the larger picture. And this was the last song written. We were 3 days into recording the record, and this idea of grief and praise had been kind of, I don't know, plaguing is the wrong word, infecting my mind in a positive way. It had been sitting there for months and months, and I knew I had to get that out. I knew there were things I needed to say to my kids, to say to my ex. It was everything that I hadn't said on the rest of the record that had to be on the record to make it complete. And so wrote this one night and we recorded it the next day. And for me, it's like the cornerstone of the record. I, sisters encircled, children of mine, humble my heart, sharpen my mind. Though we're scattered and weary, change is upon us, we are bound till the end. taken someday by the angel of death or the servants of change. In a floodwater tide without rancor or rage. Sing loud while you're able, in grief and in praise. So many years we swam into the tide, and we would not abandon your Rohit and kind. Shared our sweat and our shelter, our bodies and blood. Godspeed and good fortune, I will miss you, my love. For all you hold dear will be taken someday by the angel of death or the servants of change. In a floodwater tide without rancor or rage. Sing loud while you're